Are you curious what the absolute worst part of healing is after abuse? In this video, I'm going to chat on my healing journey and tell you what the absolute worst part of it was for me. The part that just ripped my guts out. If you're new to my channel, hi, hello, welcome, and want to learn how to find your voice and heal after abuse, subscribe to my channel and click that notifications bell so you don't miss any new videos when I post them. Now let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to SurvivorRevive. So what was the absolute worst part of healing after abuse for me? Going through it and not around it. So what does that even mean exactly? I think that a big part of any healing journey is the mistakes that we make along the way. Healing is a unique journey that is different for everyone, so there is a lot of trial and error in trying to figure out what works best for you. We tend to dip into not only the healthy ways of healing, but also in the unhealthy ways of trying to heal. In fact, most people weed through a number of unhealthy behaviors in order to avoid and mask their pain before they start to implement healthier behaviors that promote real healing. Some examples of this are addiction, self-harm, and suicidal tendencies. However, we can also use healthy behaviors in unhealthy ways. This could mean constantly surrounding yourself with friends and good times in order to avoid what is really going on inside your head and your heart. Working out and laser-sharp career focus are also examples of things that can seem pretty healthy on the outside, but when used in excess, they're actually quite unhealthy. Through my 20s and my early 30s, I did a number of things to mask the pain that I was feeling. Alcohol, drugs, sex, friends, good times, self-harm, and even suicidal tendencies. You name it. I also kept myself so busy that I didn't really have a lot of downtime to focus on healing. And these things were really amazing in the moment until I was home and alone with my thoughts again. That's when the pain would set back in. Now, when I calmed down a little bit in life and on the partying front, I buried myself in work and excessive exercise to the point of isolation and no social life. The isolation was viewed negatively by most of my family and friends and seen as a means to avoid any further pain from coming into my life. I maybe even thought that myself for a while. In retrospect though, the truth was that my body was shutting down and isolating so that I could finally deal with my pain. I got to the point of realizing that it was time to stop avoiding and trying to go around my pain. The methods that I was using were not working, and it was time to put a spoke in the wheel and try something new. The only way I was ever going to get over my pain was to stop trying to go around it and finally go through it. This shit will continue to fester and eventually explode if we allow for it to stay dormant. Before and during this isolation period, I went in no contact with my abusers and started cutting negative things, people, and behaviors out of my life at a very rapid pace. It was a huge part of my healing process, but it's also a tremendously challenging thing to do at first. I actually did another video on what the harsh reality is of going no contact with someone. I'll link it up here, so if it's something that you're contemplating, you can check it out. It's a difficult but necessary step in getting to a healthier place because you cannot heal in the same environment that's harmed you. So I cut all of the shit out of my life, I isolated myself, and I just started feeling all of the feels. Being removed from the original source of the problem helped me to gain an enormous amount of perspective and also gave me the space that I needed to process all that had happened and everything that I was feeling. Now, this is the point where my healing journey got really, really bad. I felt an unbearable amount of pain every single day. My highs were mediocre and my lows were really, really low. I was walking the fine line at trying to keep my shit together just to get through my everyday life and completely collapsing into depression when I got home at the end of the day. It was hands down one of the darkest, scariest parts of my life. You know, I would even say that the pain was comparable to the actual abuse itself. My depression was at an all-time high, and I even got dangerously close to ending my life one night. Most days I didn't think my life would ever change for the better, and I was destined for a terrible ending to an already terrible life. But despite how terrible I felt, I continued to walk through the fire, just wishing and praying that I would eventually come out on the other side. I continued to do the hard work, and I continued to get up and try again every single day. I continued to evaluate myself and my actions, looking at every single way that I could potentially improve my situation. And then eventually, over time and with hard work and persistence and getting back up every single time I had a setback, the pain eventually started to soften. And then over time and with a few years of struggle under my belt, the sun finally came out. I know it sounds cheesy, but it was like I woke up. I came alive again and new life started to flow through my body. In a second, I'll jump into what life is really like for me now that I've gotten past the worst part. But before I do, I would love to hear from you below in the comments on what the hardest part has been in your healing journey so far. What are some of the methods that you use to cope for good or bad. So where am I at now? As of today, I've moved away from unhealthy behaviors that mask and avoid my very real issues, but I absolutely still have slip-ups from time to time. But this is the reality of what healing really looks like. It's ugly, it's messy, you fuck up, you learn, you slip up again, you learn. Then you eventually start to get it right. But it's a very long, winding journey. Do I feel amazing every day? Absolutely not. But I now want to live and not just exist, and that is a huge step up for me. The key is in accepting that there is no quick fix or magic pill or any amount of self-care that'll make it just all go away. I've learned to accept that memories and triggers will always surface, but now it's more in how I handle them when they come up. My heart is finally starting to open back up, and I now look forward to the new people and life adventures that are coming down the line. Also, turning my pain into purpose through SurvivorRevive and getting to meet so many brave and inspirational survivors also keeps me going, knowing that they've overcome even the worst of scenarios. The human spirit is resilient, way beyond our comprehension. I also really want to drive home that this was the most difficult part for me in my own personal journey. Each person's journey is as unique as they are, and some of the things that have worked for me may not work well for you. The key is figuring out what does work for you through trial and error and never giving up. I read this quote the other day: "I survived because the fire inside me burned brighter than the fire around me." My advice to you is that you have got to be that fire. Keep reminding yourself that the light will eventually come, and I promise you, with hard work and persistence, you will get there. And if you can get through this pain, you can get through any barrier that life will throw at you. Please don't ever give up. The world needs you, whether you can see that yet or not. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope that this video is super helpful for you on your healing journey. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until then, see you next time.